Hello, everyone. Welcome to 90-Minute Cocktail Hour. I am your host, Mike Guccione. I own Driftwood and Dune Photography. We do weddings, portraits, all that fun stuff. This is episode 11. Can't believe we're still rolling along doing this thing. Thank you, everyone, for your support, your listens, your likes, your subscribes, your follows, your comments to me in real life. Like that's really, really fun. I've been to a couple weddings recently where people that I didn't even know listen to the podcast would come up to me and say, "Hey, love the podcast." So thank you. That means a lot. It really, really does. So I appreciate it. Um, if you're listening on whatever platform you're listening on, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, leave a comment, rate and review us. This definitely helps us. It, lets me know that people are listening to it, people are liking it. You know, definitely keep the engagement going. I also don't know if I've mentioned this before, but we have an Instagram account, 90-Minute Cocktail Hour on Instagram. So make sure you follow us on Instagram. Um, yeah. So administrative stuff over. I'm so pumped that my guest today is here. We have Liza Fonarev from Big Day BTS. She is our first content creator on the podcast. So I'm super pumped to get to talk with her at length. But what's funny, actually, I feel like Liza, you and I, so we've worked together a bunch of times.
Mhm.
But I feel like we've had a few like long kind of car rides together where you've like come to like help me like assist on like shoots and stuff. So, we had that shoot going up to Hoboken the one time, and then we went to Philly, back in the spring. So I'll go like months not talking to you, and then we'll have like hours in the car together to like catch up on life. So,
Mhm.
I'm pumped to talk to you today, but I'll shut up. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself and tell everyone who you are, what you do.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa. So I run Big Day BTS, which is, like Mike said, a wedding content creation business. And I've been in the wedding industry for around 5 years, like almost coming up on 5 years. And then my business is 2 years old as of October 18th. So very, very soon. Yay. And yeah, by the way, also, I feel like in the car, just as soon as we start yapping, it doesn't stop. And I like spill my entire life to you, so I'm excited.
Yes. So I'm very excited as well. So we, started working together through Jordan. Shout out Jordan Casey Photography. You kind of came up through her, like shooting content for her weddings. And then I joined her team a couple years ago. So we had, some overlap, with some weddings that, you were shooting for her, as a content creator. And I think you, may have been like one of my first exposures to a content creator, like at a wedding.
Mm.
Um, and at the time it was like kind of a newer thing, like, um, and I'm not gonna lie, like as someone who's like an elder millennial, I was like, my first instinct was like, oh my God, like one more person, you know, at a
Mhm.
wedding. But as I've gotten to work with you and like some of your peers, like you blend very seamlessly into the day, even when there's like a photo team, a video team, and a content creator. I feel like, what I appreciate about you is you and your workflow and the things that you add to the day, flow very seamlessly into what like I do and what video does. So just want to say that like off the bat. Um,
Aw, thanks, Mike.
Yes, and and like you mentioned, like I've appreciated our conversations, in the car when we've had like lots of time to catch up on life and everything. So like I appreciate your perspective on a lot of other things too. So I'm excited to talk to you today. But the thing that I say at every episode, the only real thing that I have people prepare for is to kind of talk about your path, into your craft, right, and then how that led you into the wedding industry. So, I guess if you want to start, like, where that all started, like your, love for content, or whether it was like you were more into like the photo or video aspect of things. Like, where did that start for you?
So I'm gonna take it way, way back.
Let's go. Let's
I
go back.
have pretty much like straight out the womb been very artistically inclined, very into literally anything that has anything to do with art, whether that be drawing, painting, singing, performing, just every like artistically inclined activity that you could do, I was in as a kid. And I think around probably when I was like 11 or 12 and like YouTube really started to become a thing, it was my dream to be like a famous YouTuber, or like as they're called, influencers nowadays. So I taught myself how to just use like iMovie on my very first like Mac, or honestly, it might have been even when we had like a desktop Mac for the family, just in the kitchen. And my dad was actually really, really into photography. It was like his side hobby, so I would steal his camera, prop it on like boxes and stacks of books in my room, and just like film videos of myself in my room doing like little makeup tutorials or showing people how I do my hair or something, and then edit it and upload it onto YouTube. And one day, a girl in school found my video and she came up to me and she was like, "Oh my God, like bought that mascara that you recommended. It works so well. Like, thank you so much for making that video." And I was so mortified that somebody from my school found my video, and I never did it again. For big
So
I
we
was
you might have to dig up one of those videos for me so we could like pop it in stories
Oh
if
god.
you're willing.
Okay, I'll have to look through the archives, and it's gonna be scary. Um, but I've really been into, like, video editing, and I've always been sorry, the, like, photo friend who always edits everyone's pictures for them, who always, like, at every party and every social gathering, they're like, "Oh, just let Lisa take it, like, she'll take it." So I've always been really into all of that, and then, I did a traditional kind of path. I went to college for political science, and I unfortunately went to college during peak, or not went to college, but peak COVID was cut my college experience in half. So like
Mm.
junior and senior year was all COVID for me. And after that, I'm sure a lot of people my age or younger can relate that you kind of feel a little robbed of like your youth, and you kind of feel a little directionless and lost because COVID was such a crazy time. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do after college. And at the time, my friend was opening up a hair salon, and I offered to help her with like social media stuff because she really didn't want me to have like a gap in my resume. So she was like, "Oh, just put down that you work at the salon." And I was like, "No, let me actually do something for you." So I started like filming little videos for her and trying to help her with her salon's Instagram. And I was like, "This is fun." And then I promise this has a purpose, this story.
No,
Um,
take your time. We got all the time in the world.
Okay, perfect. I mean, 90 minutes to be exact, but then I went to the dentist one day, and dentists, they always like try and ask you questions as they're like in your mouth. But so my dentist starts asking me what I've been up to lately, and I told her like, "Oh, I'm trying to get into this like social media thing. Like I've just been helping out my friend with her business." So she works on my teeth, comes back 5 minutes later, and she's like, "Lisa, do you know how to make a TikTok?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" So it turns out that my dental hygienist was also a part-time wedding photographer. This is Jessica Ann Photography, and she was my first ever client. And sorry to let you in on the secret, Jess, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing at all at the time. Like, I was just like, yeah, of course I can be your social media manager. Of course I can go to these weddings and help you build up your social media following. Like, I just thought, I grew up with all of this, so surely I have something of value to contribute. And I didn't trust anybody else to like take the behind the scenes footage, so I that's why I started going to the weddings myself. That's how I met Jordan, like through Jess, and started working with her, and a bunch of other photographers that just like through word of mouth, or like if someone was somebody's second shooter, I started working with them. That's how I met Lexi too. She was Jess's second shooter one time. And all these people were like, we have no idea what goes into like running a social media account. Like, we have a lot of trouble posting consistently or editing these reels that apparently are like the new thing on Instagram. So everybody just wanted everyone wanted a piece of me, Mike. Everyone needed help. So I just taught myself how to do it and started going to all these weddings with all these different photographers, and that's how I got started in the industry. I really never had any idea that wedding content creation for the bride would be a thing at the time that
Mm,
I was starting this. I thought I was just helping individuals with their small businesses. Um, but now looking back, I would not trade beginning like that for anything. I think what I've learned from other professionals in the industry, from other photographers, videographers, planners, you name it, is invaluable. And I think it's like the smartest way to get started in content or in the wedding industry in general, to just go offer your services to somebody, to shadow somebody, to really just learn from someone who has more experience than you. Because I think there's so many things that people don't expect to not know about a wedding, 'cause they're like, "Oh, it's a wedding." Like, "What do you mean? I've seen it in movies. I've been a bridesmaid. My sister got married last summer. I know everything." And you don't. So, I think it's I think it's the best way to get started, and I'm a huge, huge, proponent of that for anybody listening who might wanna get into content creation, to start by working with other people who have experience that you do not.
mm. So yeah, a couple things there. You're definitely not the first person to be like, yeah, I'll do that for you, and like deep inside be like, I don't know what I'm doing. And like that was definitely me for sure. And other people have said that too. And like everyone's got to start somewhere. Like like you don't have that experience unless you do it. And on the very first episode, like I was talking with Caroline about this, and we were both talking about how our early clients, like like we kind of had to fake it till we made it, right? Like, and and that's fine. That's great. And I feel like the universe puts those situations or people in your path like for a reason. People who like are just so happy that you're there, right? Because whether or not you realize it, like you do have something to offer, even if you feel like you don't have like the experience, right? Like you had that creative muscle from like day one, it sounds like, and you had that eye from day one. Um, and were you already like, I don't want to say like an influencer, but did you already have like a TikTok following, or did you already have like, or is it just kind of like ingrained in you?
Oh, no, no, no. I didn't actually have the balls to post anything. I'm an
Mm,
influencer in my head, like in my bathroom. Oh my God, my audience loves me. But it's the posting part and actually putting yourself out there that I'm really bad at. Um,
mm.
but if I could just get myself to do that, then who knows? Maybe I would be famous. But no, the influencer lives within me.
Well, all right. So that's actually kind of interesting the way you put it, because do you think like your generation, right? Because there is like a pretty sizable like age gap between us. Like your generation kind of grew up on Instagram, right? Like you guys grew up on Instagram, like TikTok. When did TikTok come out? Like how long has it been around? Like 10
When I
years
was
now?
Oh god, don't say that to me. Um, when I was in college, so, sophomore, junior year of college, I was probably, 19, 18, 19.
Okay, so it's been around for a bit. So but like during those like kind of formative years, like you were kind of exposed to this idea of like putting yourself out there for
Mhm,
social media, right? And like that was something that didn't come around for me until I was like, again, I don't know how long Instagram has been around, but like by the time they started introducing like stories like Snapchat did, I was probably like late 20s or like early 30s.
mhm.
So that was like a very novel idea for me, and especially not until like recently as a business owner have I kind of adopted that idea of like, okay, I got to show up like authentically, on my stories. And again, like TikTok, I don't know. I just don't have the mental capacity for TikTok. If
But
someone
I
wants to
think a
take the,
lot of people haven't, or, didn't even realize that that was necessary. Like, you're totally not alone in that, and I
mm,
think even from the time that I started doing this to now, it has evolved at an unprecedented rate to where like an ordinary person with like little to no following can get one overnight if you just like put yourself out there and people like who you authentically are. You could be
Mm,
the worst at like what your job is or your craft is or whatever, but if they like your personality, then they're going to stay.
right. And that's actually kind of another path I want to go down at some point. Maybe we can touch on it, but like, engagement on like TikTok and Instagram, like, does that necessarily lead to like more leads or more business? Um, but I want to like table that for a second. Um, so like even though you may not have had like the biggest following, like you still have that like TikTok muscle kind of ingrained in your brain, right? From like an
Yeah.
earlier age. So for like someone like me, or even folks who are like a little bit younger than me, we see this new thing coming along, and like for me, I'll speak for myself, like it just seems very, I don't want to say intimidating. I just, and it's gonna make me sound really old. Like I just don't get it. Like I just don't understand it. Like for
TikTok.
me, it's what's that? Yeah, TikTok specifically. Um, it's just very overstimulating for me,
Mm,
and um, I and maybe it's just part of my personality. I don't necessarily enjoy putting myself in a situation where things are like intentionally trying to grab my attention. Does that make sense?
ooh.
Because like a lot, and that's like part of the I guess part of having success as a TikToker is like you need something that's gonna like grab people's attention, and I kind of like shut down when that happens. I'm like, oh, I can't handle this. Um, but I guess what I'm trying to say is like you had that muscle ingrained in you from like an earlier age. And so, when you met Jessica and she was like, oh my God, like you know how to make a TikTok, like I can so relate to that feeling of like, oh my God, here's someone who like knows how to do this, that can like take this off my plate and can do something for me in a space where I feel like I need to be in order to get new clients. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. So I think you're absolutely right. It is ingrained in me because it's kind of been such a prevalent part of my life for as long as I can remember. I think I am very blessed in that I grew up being able to play outside and like breathe air and do things that like a normal child should be doing. But I do very distinctly remember the period of time where like the world and technologically shifted. So whether it be like TikTok or Instagram, it has been around for me forever. It's been YouTube, it's been Vine, it's been just all these different platforms that I constantly have to download, figure out how to use and get into. Or not have to, but I enjoy it and it's just kind of been the flow of my life to get
Mm,
acquainted with all of these platforms and talk to my friends about it and learn about it. So what you're saying, I think there totally is like a formulaic aspect of getting big or getting attention on all of these apps. There is a certain way of like making videos where it's like, hey guys, here's a story time about how I got punched in the face on a subway. And then you're like, okay, I guess I have to listen to the rest of the video. um, there is a certain formula that you can follow, and some people will tell you like post 15 times a day if you want to get famous, and you're like, I'm not gonna do that. That's insane. But it does work for people. I just don't think those approaches are super honest and authentic the way that like certain creators appeal to me. And I
mm,
think when I give people any type of advice on social media or on how to use social media, I always put myself into the shoes of the consumer because I am a very avid consumer of digital media. And if I don't want to see it, if it doesn't interest me as just a normal person scrolling on their phone, then I'm not going to put that out into the world because nobody's going to be interested in it then. Um, so really just put yourself in the shoes of the audience that you would like to attract. And if they're like-minded people, then they're going to like you for exactly who you are.
yeah, I think that's a really important piece is creating engaging content that you feel like is authentic to you. Um, so what, all right, so kind of let's take a step back for a second because I'm curious, like, so what were some of the things that you learned along the way as you're like kind of putting yourself out there, working for other photographers, shooting content for weddings. Because you're right, like there are some things, and I think we've talked about this too, like at, weddings and in free time, like there are some things that like I didn't really know until I had shot however many number of weddings. And there's like a lot of situations that come up where you may not know exactly how to handle them unless you've been in that situation before or seen like someone else go through that and handle it. So like what did that look like for you?
So I think the working side by side with different vendors, whether you like it or not, if you're an observational person who like cares about your surroundings, you're going to learn a ton because everybody has such a different workflow. And there are wedding days sometimes that feel like a little bit cookie cutter, or like when you do so many, you're like, oh my God, like we do the same thing every time and it becomes more of a routine. But at the same time, like you never know when you're gonna meet a photographer or a planner or a DJ or whoever who's like, no, I'm flipping this thing around. Like I march to the beat of my own drum and this is how we're doing it today. Timeline be damned, you know? So it's really interesting to see how different people approach a wedding day. And obviously like every couple is different too. So if they have something really cool planned and you have to pivot your whole thing because they just forgot to tell everybody about it, you have to learn how to adapt. And seeing how other people who have been doing it a lot longer than I have adapt to those situations is really interesting. And I think there's a lot to be learned there from how people stay calm under pressure, because wedding days are a lot of pressure, or how some people totally fold under pressure. And sometimes you learn what not to be like. Sometimes working with other people shows you exactly who you don't want to be. And that's okay too. That is also part of the learning process, in my opinion. And either way, I mean, it's like collaborative. It's like if I had an office job and I had to work with a team of like 5, 6 people every day, it would be the same thing. I would have to learn those people's like nuances, learn their habits, and work cohesively so we can get to the end of the day. And it's kind of the same thing in the wedding industry. So I think, um, I understand why sometimes like newer content creators or anybody who's like new at anything gets a bad rep because they don't have the experience and they make mistakes inevitably because they don't know what they're doing. I get why they get, you know, like shit on a little bit, but I think that's why it's so important to really, really observe and learn and absorb all the valuable information before just showing up to a wedding day and saying, hey, I have an iPhone, I have a camera, I could do what you do. It's irresponsible, in my opinion.
Mm. Yeah, and I think one of the things that I've noticed, especially with like newer people in the industry, and something that I really like try to keep in like the back of my mind is I think, for newer people who maybe like come in really hot and like kind of accidentally step on other people's toes. I want to assume that their like intentions are good, right? Like I want to assume that they're like just trying to like they're excited, right? Like they're really excited and like want to do right by the couple. And so I think like what people did for me and what I try to do with like other people is just kind of like not stifle that like eagerness or that like excitement, because I think that's really important. But also kind of like mentor them and be like, hey, next time, you know, maybe here's like a different way we can approach this where you can still like do the thing that you wanted to do, but like didn't accidentally step on like someone's toes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I love that idea of like collaboration. Because at the end of the day, I like to think that we're all there for the same reason: photo, video, content. If there's a hair and makeup team, if there's bridal attendants, if at some weddings there could be like literally an entourage of like 10 people following around the bride and groom.
Yeah.
Um, which, that's a lot to navigate and it's a lot to deal with. especially when, you are on a timeline and everyone, again, like photo, video, like we all have certain shots and certain things that we want to get to deliver the product that the couple is paying us for.
Mhm.
Um, and so it does become really tricky to navigate all of that, while respecting everyone in that space and allowing them to do their jobs, and also getting what you need. But I think like the people that I love to work with in the industry, the people, and I think the people that couples really love the most are the ones that really try hard to play nice with everyone,
Mhm.
because um I don't know, like, and I'm sure you've dealt with it, like we've all dealt with it, like, people who are a little more difficult than others, people who, are, you know, maybe don't play so nice with others. And like at the end of the day, it's just not about that. Like it's not about your ego, it's not about you um like imposing yourself. It's about like, am I serving the couple in the best way possible on this day, right? And if a content creator is there, like you're there, like the couple hired you to be there. Like the couple is paying you to be there. So obviously they want you to be there. So it doesn't matter if I want you there. It doesn't matter if like the video team wants you there. Like you are there and you are there for the couple, right? So like
Yeah.
it behooves us to all play nice together.
For sure. I think being collaborative is like the number one thing that you honestly have no choice to be in this industry. Like you have to be collaborative and willing to work well with others. And I think sometimes people just show up to wedding days like thinking that they're God and forgetting that everybody else was hired just the same as they were. And I don't know what like people are gaining from being like blatantly rude or dismissive to other vendors, and it's not just me. Obviously I am going to be the first person to jump to the defense of my fellow content creators, but I've seen it happen with plenty of different vendors, and sometimes you just have to deal with difficult people, but I really wish it wasn't like that, because ultimately you are there to service the couple and give them the smoothest, happiest day possible.
Yeah. Um, so what did the transition look like for you from, working, because you kind of went from working with like other photographers to um starting your own business, kind of focusing on, the wedding day itself, and less for, shooting content for the photographers. Like, what did that transition look like for you?
So, the simplest answer would be, like, I wanted more money, um, and, working for other vendors meant that I was depending on their schedule and their bookings and their desires, and, like, sometimes it could be as simple as, like, "Oh, it's not gonna be a good day today, like, don't come," or, like, "The weather's not great," or, like, "The venue isn't whatever," like, and it would just be like, "Oh, okay, guess I'm not gonna work today," like, that's the inconsistency wasn't, the best for me, and there almost started to be, like, a little hint of, like, a demand for what I do from brides, and I was like, "Okay, like, let's hop on to this right now," and there was also a case a couple times where, like, the photographer I would be working with would let the bride know that I was coming, and then she'd be like, "Oh, wait, can I hire her for, like, a few extra hours on top of when she'll be there for you?" And I'd be like, "Wait, people want this? Like, people they want me there?" And, that's how I started, Big Day BTS. Like, I came up with the name, I made the Instagram, I kinda just announced that it would be I didn't even really still know what it would be. I thought maybe I would share, like, tips and tricks and, like, cute bridal stuff that I wanted to talk about, like, and then some of the videos that I've created, I would just, like, post there because I already had so many, like, stockpiled from years of, creating reels and TikToks for other people, um, and yeah, it just kind of took off from there. And I actually started to get like DMs and emails of people being like, "Hey, this is my wedding date. Are you available?" I had, again, no idea what, how to begin this. There was nobody else that I could turn to and be like, "Hey, what should I charge for this? Like, how do you create a pricing guide or a contract for being a wedding content creator?" I don't know anything about this, and I didn't have anyone to ask other than like photographer friends who would try and give me like, some guidelines or some parameters to follow, but I really just dove into it. And I guess I had the added benefit of a few years of experience shooting wedding content creation, but working directly with brides and being fully dependent on only myself to book clients was definitely a learning, experience. It was hard at first, but I love it, and that's, where I'm at now, so it's
Okay.
great.
So I want to ask you, like, who are some of your you mentioned that like there weren't really people that you could like turn to. Like, have there started to become like people in the industry that you kind of like look up to, or have like maybe blazed a path that you can like start to follow a little bit?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Honestly, even though if we look at the grand scheme of how long I've been doing this, I could be considered one of the first, but in terms of like how much I've achieved, I'm certainly not at the tippy top. I think there's a lot of people who simply are just better and more efficient business owners than I am. Throwing it back to what we said before, I get such bad analysis paralysis when it comes to actually posting, whether it be myself, my face being a little influencer girly, or my work. I suck at posting. I suck at like marketing and putting myself out there, even though I used to do it very easily for other people's social media. I just can't do it for mine. And that's a personal flaw that I for sure need to work on and just get it out there and post. But I think there's plenty of people that are way, way better at just posting every single day, every bit of content. If you guys knew how much stuff I was sitting on between multiple phones and computers and everything, you would be baffled by the amount of videos and gigabytes that I've never seen the light of day. Um, so there's definitely a lot of people that I look up to who have really cool styles, who have just like made really successful businesses out of content. So I know kind of what is possible. But then again, I don't mean to undermine myself. I think I am really, really good at what I do and I care about it a lot and I'm passionate about it. And I think I have an eye for it. I just it's kind of like I've heard people talk about this concept before of like a unicorn in the industry, somebody who's really, really talented and really good at business and marketing themselves, and it's very hard to find a perfect balance of both.
Yeah, well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The people that I look up to in this industry who are amazingly creative and also have really successful businesses, I have so much respect for those people because to have
Very
both of those skill sets, and to also have like the emotional like strength to continue to do this like year after year after year, because it's a lot. Like, it does take a toll on you. Like, I just have so much respect for those people. So yeah, ditto. And I have the same struggle too. Like, I still struggle to like show up on my stories, and to like post my work regularly. And and I've been doing this for like a very long time and I still have that struggle. So I don't know what it is. Um, maybe one day we'll get to the bottom of it. But
Yeah. Now
um
I get
y-
why people wanted to hire somebody like me to manage their social media in the first place, because now I want someone to do it for me. I can't. And I
well,
work at least once every weekend, and nobody would know because I do not post even close to the rate of the amount of work that I do.
yeah, well, same, like I'm good at posting for like the weddings that I have booked for my own business, but the weddings that I shoot for other people, like um I'm like pretty low key about letting people know when I'm out shooting for other studios. But like
Yeah.
on any given weekend, I'm shooting at least 1 to 2 weddings, and like you probably would not know it because like I said, I'm like pretty low key about when I shoot for other studios. But the thing you mentioned about like how much content you're sitting on. So I have tried to make an effort this year to bring along content creators for as many shoots as I can this year. You came with me to Philly back in April. I've had a few weddings where I've had actually a former bride of mine, Alex, moments with AG. Shout out Alex. She's now getting into content creation as well. And she's come along with me on a few weddings, and she shares this like massive Google Drive folder with me after every wedding, and I'm like,
What do I
when
do?
am I gonna when am I gonna have the time to like sit and go through all this stuff? So so in addition to like, shooting the wedding and then editing the images, um, yeah, like I don't know. And I think you've talked to me a little bit about like what your back end process looks like, but I mean, I guess just to like kind of give people a feel for the amount of work that you do on the back end, like what does that look like for you?
So, in terms of do you want to know when I do it for brides or for vendors or both?
Both.
Um, so when I do it for vendors, and like maybe if this is something you and Alex want to try out, then feel free to take my advice. But I honestly have a lot of people's, or had, like when I did this very actively, had a lot of people's logins, and I just
Mm,
posted on their Instagram myself because like I know you don't have the time to do it, and obviously like I'm the one who took the videos, so they're fresher in my mind. So even if it's just a matter of like getting stories out for that day and showing what happened that day and having like 5 or 6 things on your story that you don't have to worry about uploading, just give her the reins and let her do it and pick a fun song for each video and be done with it. And then later down the line, if you're like, oh, I really, really want to post a reel from this engagement shoot or this wedding after, especially like after you finish editing the gallery and you could incorporate your photos in it somehow, then you could go into the Google Drive and pull some videos and some clips that you like, or again, ask her to do it. But it's really demanding to sit there and look through all the footage. It's just easier for me in the moment because I can, even during the day while I'm filming, sometimes I'll go and favorite the clip right after I filmed it because I want to
mm,
remember that that was a really cute one, or like I want to use that one later. Um, and then, but like for vendors, it's so much less pressure because I'm just capturing a little bit of you, a little bit of the couple, a little bit of the day, and here you go, take it all. I don't care. For for couples, it's much more high pressure because I have multiple calls leading up to the wedding day with my couples. I ask them a billion times like, what do you consider must capture moments? Is there anything like really special that you have planned that I need to have in the back of my head so I'm there at the right time and place? Like, I'm very on top of things, I'm very detail oriented, and especially if they don't have a videographer hired, I
mm.
know that I'm the person responsible for getting the videos, so I don't wanna miss anything. Um, so I have 45 things circling in my head, and then, of course, they want, like, the cute, trendy stuff that they know their photographer might not wanna do, but I will do. So they're like, "Can you do a late night flat lay?" or "Can you do this with me and my bridesmaids?" And I have to think about all of that, and, of course, most people don't, like, allot the extra necessary time to film those TikToks or film those extra little things that they asked for. They're like, "Oh, it'll just take 30 seconds." And then the photographer's like pissed at me because I'm doing what the bride asked me to do. But whatever. So afterwards, basically the entire process is looking through all their footage. I'm not like a trigger finger when it comes to deleting stuff because I know sometimes even if I think it's not good, they might just want it for memories. And that really, I think, is the number one reason why content exists, is because people want these like quickly accessible memories. It's not like they're gonna take my content photo and plaster it on their wall, probably. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty good, so I don't know. But like they want it for memories just on their phone that they can pull up at any moment and look through. So I don't really delete too much stuff unless it's like really, really bad or just a throwaway video or I filmed the floor by accident or something. Um, and then unfortunately, what takes up the most of my time is going through and muting audio on some of the videos because people forget that I am filming and people forget that I have cancelable materials. So everybody watch what you say, watch your mouth on a wedding day because anytime you're talking, guess who's recording it? The content creators that you love to shit on. Sorry.
Oh, snap.
I'm just making sure everybody knows. So I have to go and mute that because some things I don't want the bride to hear, and I don't want them to have to hear like private side conversations that are going on, or like they don't need to hear that. So I mute things within reason, or crop videos or things like that, or edit just like at least a batch of my favorite pictures that I took throughout the day, because yes, I do also take like still photos while the video is rolling. Sorry, photographers, relax. Um, so yeah, there is a lot of back end, and then obviously the editing process itself of putting together short form reels or longer videos, that are like full day compilations with music and effects and all that jazz. So
Yeah.
there's a lot. I don't just show up, toss my phone at them and leave. Like there's a lot that happens in the week after the wedding and months after the wedding even.
Yeah. So, and I think you touched on something, um, like really important in there that, and maybe like one of the reasons why content creation even came about like in the first place is that, people want, like, obviously when they hire a photographer or a videographer, they're signing up for, a beautifully like curated gallery of like all these important and beautiful moments, right?
Hmm.
But and I've talked about this on like past episodes like many times, and I talk about it all the time with other photographers. Like, the longer we do this, the more that we're drawn to those little like in between moments, right? Like the little moments that like we didn't plan for or like didn't pose, right? And those may not be the photos that have like the wow impact, but they're photos that are like really meaningful and evoke like a really strong emotion. And I think, content like what you guys do is, and maybe this was kind of at the heart of it when it first started, was like capturing the moment like as it really was, like capturing it, in a really authentic
Mike.
way. What?
Wait, sorry, it cut out for a minute. I don't know why. Like
Could you
everything
still hear
was
me?
no, like everything froze, the audio
Oh,
froze.
okay. Yeah, your face froze for a second. What was the last thing you heard?
The reason content started, I think.
Did you hear me talk about um how ph photographers look for like the in between moments?
Yes, I heard that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So maybe like the reason content has taken off the way that it has is like people are more drawn or have become more interested in like capturing the day as it's really unfolding, right?
Mhm.
And I think there will always be, you know, a place for a polished video, for, a polished gallery. Um, but and again, maybe it's a generational thing. Like, I think more and more people are kind of interested in seeing, going back and like seeing it the way that it really was too.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that there's really something to that, like what you said about um, making sure to like capture things that maybe me or a videographer like wouldn't think to capture or isn't in like our normal workflow.
Um, okay, so touching on a few things that you said. First, I'll just start by like announcing that I'm always the first person to say, if you have the budget for it and if you have the desire for it, get all three: photo, video, and content. I think there's room for everybody in the industry. And I would never, like, I don't do this in order to undermine photographers or videographers or take anybody's job away. I think we all have a very different perspective on the day and we're all necessary in our own way. That being said, um, I my primary goal is to capture those tiny little moments, almost in the sense of like when the lead photographer's camera is down, like when nobody else is recording, that's the moment I want. When they're like whispering to each other or like giggling over something and nobody's yelling at them to be like, smile, kiss, like the moments in between when when they're
Do I
just like,
yell? Do I yell
no.
kiss?
No, you don't, but sometimes I really do witness this sometimes when they're having a moment, like, it's so pure, they're just, like, giggling or, like, canoodling or something, and the photographer wants what they want, and they're like, "Alright, kiss right there, kiss right there, kiss right there," and, like, the couple doesn't hear him or her because they're so into each other.
Mm,
It actually makes my blood boil. I'm like, "That is the moment you should be photographing because 'cause they're so into each other, they don't even know the world around them exists, and that's beautiful to me. So, I want those moments a lot more than I want, a posed, like, thing. Um, and I'm not saying that the posed photos don't have a place. Of course, you need, like, formal, elegant shots, but I think those little, I call them unseen moments, are the cutest, and I love, love, love capturing that because I just think it evokes a feeling much more than a very stiff, posed shot does. And then the third thing I wanted to touch on that you said was that it's like a generational thing. It really, really is, and I feel like this is a concept that's kind of evading some of the haters in the industry, like some people who think like, "Oh, it's just an iPhone, like anybody could do that. Why would couples even want that? It feels like a gimmick." Like da da da. I read a lot of Facebook comments, so I've seen a lot of what people say. Um, but I think they're kind of missing the point. If everybody getting married right now is my age, like 25, 30, give or take a few years, obviously they're going to want phone content. They're we are the generation who doesn't let our phone leave our hand at any time. Like we record everything. I take a picture of every meal before I eat it. Like I you really think I'm not going to want somebody to record my wedding day on my phone? Obviously, it's really important common sense to me that anybody in my generation would want a content creator just as much as they'd want I actually used to use the word professional to describe like photo and video, but I stopped doing that recently because you know what? I'm a professional too. I think 5 years in the industry, I've earned to call myself a professional because I know a lot about what goes on here. So I'll say the higher grade equipment and the photography and the videography that differs from using an iPhone as your medium.
yes. Um, and I think that, one of the things that I started to notice about you and some of your peers was that, um, like you weren't just delivering like behind the scenes footage. And I think that, you know, like I had this idea in my head for a while that it was just like that's what it was, like just behind the scenes footage. And then when I started to see what you were delivering, for like Jordan and for Lexi and, and then for me, like I started to realize like, oh, you're like it does still require like a really artistic eye. And the things that you were doing, playing with like the cinematic mode and like, capturing some of the B-roll that you were capturing, I was like, oh wow, like that's a lot of that's like really beautiful. Um, so, it is more than just sitting back and just hitting record on an iPhone to capture like behind the scenes. Like you're just telling a story with a different medium, like you're telling a story with a different device. And it absolutely makes sense. And I can hear all the brides to be being like, preach girl, preach. Like,
Yeah. And that's kinda how I, like, explain it to some people. I'm like, "I'm sure you would want your bestie to stand next to you with a phone and record all of these moments and snap pictures, but your best friend is probably your maid of honor. She's probably in the wedding. She's got 400,000 other things to do, so I'll be your bestie for the day, and I'll make sure that you have all of these fun little moments, as well as, the big moments, as well as my artistic touch. I really do like to capture things with a certain vision in mind, and I do get a little cinematic with it sometimes. But I do also like I'm the one sneaking into the bridal suite when all the girls are like half naked and putting on deodorant and like singing little songs. Like I want those moments that are truly behind the scenes as well. I think those things are hilarious and also really, really fun to look back on. But I also do want to create really, really beautiful shots sometimes.
Yeah,
So
and
I do it
I've said
all.
it to you. What's that?
I do it all.
And do it and have it all. Um, no, I also think you have, a really good eye for, like, you have a really good sense of humor. And you also, and I'm going to shout this out, and she might be, she'll love it. But mutual friend of ours, Krista, you created some reels for her that went like pretty viral. Just like showcasing like her real personality, like on a wedding day. So, like I think like capturing those moments for her, capturing those moments for the bride, things that they maybe things that they weren't even aware of, like happening, right? Like you are there to like see those things.
For sure, yeah.
Um,
Oh, was there a
so
question in there? Sorry, did I miss?
no,
Oh.
I was I was
Oh,
just hoping you might have something to say about that, but I guess not.
wait, can I actually say something different? Before we got on this call, I checked our horoscopes
Oh God.
because I wanted to see if, like, we were compatible today before we did this, and one of the things was it said, "Don't interpret silences or don't try to interpret silences," and I just did it, so I didn't follow the horoscope. But anyways, we're compatible, we're harmonious today,
The
so
harmony. Okay, good.
all is well.
I'm
Mike is
totally.
a big astrology guy if the listeners didn't know, so we're friends on CoStar.
Oh yes, we've talked at length, and maybe something I don't think I've talked about this yet, but I'm very big believer in astrology, and all kinds of like I used to call it weird. I mean, it is weird, but it's fun weird. I'm into tarot too. Like I love tarot. Um, I'm gonna shout out my friend Katie from Spiral Path Cauldron, who, if you follow me on Instagram, I post a lot of her. I've done a lot of her branding photos over the years, and she's an amazing tarot reader, astrologer. So go check her out. But yeah, me and me and Liza regularly talk about our astrological compatibility on whatever day that we're working.
And I actually don't know anything about astrology, like, I'm not an astrology girly, I check my CoStar app, and it tells me what I need to do that day, and that's it, and then I always bring it up to Mike because I know he's gonna tell me something interesting that I didn't know about myself.
And it's actually like pretty like freaky accurate. Because wasn't there one day where there, like, not that we weren't going to get along, but there was like something challenging in our horoscope for that day, and we
So
actually, not that we got into like a fight, but like we kind of like, I don't know, didn't we like we got into a conversation about something where we like disagreed about something. I don't know.
we
I might
oh,
be making this up.
no, I don't think you're making it up. I think it was like a life conversation, it definitely wasn't like a work-related conversation, and I feel like we just totally didn't, like, see eye to eye. It was in the
Mm,
I don't remember what it was about though, but let's not beef. This is a
no,
positive
no,
cast.
there's no beef. There's no beef.
Wait,
So all right.
I'll respond to what you said about Krista and humor. Thank you for saying I
Yes.
have a good sense of humor. I agree. And I think I think making videos like that, like anything that you're doing for another client, obviously through years of like working with different people, I do have to put myself in their shoes. Like if somebody's a Swiftie and I'm not a Swiftie and I am not a Swiftie, I use Taylor Swift music for their reels. I use it for their posting because I know that them and their clients are gonna appreciate that. So you really have to take yourself out of it, and In this case, Krista and I just happen to have a really, really similar sense of humor, and I very much get her and that side of her, which is why I'm able to edit in that style. But I mean, s- the videos speak for themselves. I can make the edit extra funny, but it has to be funny to begin with. And I think
Yes.
it's Krista's, she's,
There's there's a lot of material to work with there, let's just
yeah,
say.
she's a content gold mine.
Yeah, I mean, if I were you, I would, I I would work with her as much as possible. You will
No.
never.
She honestly resurrected my love for working with vendors again, because I
Mm,
feel like I was so focused, a year or 2 ago on, like, starting my own business and focusing on my clients that I was like, "I don't have time to work with all these photographers and do all this stuff for other people," and when I started doing this for her, I, like, remembered how much fun it could be and how to really, like, capture people's personalities and not just their, like, work stuff or, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, not just make it
yeah.
about the vendor, but or no, the opposite. Make it about the vendor and their personality rather than everything just having to feel like, "Here we go, another wedding day," all the time, you know? And I
Yes,
think we know so many people with such vibrant personalities who just don't know how to share it on social media, and that's what we're here to do.
well, yeah, 100%, and it kinda goes back to, um, as a bride or a couple that's getting married, um, like, making sure that you vibe with your vendors, like, vibe with, obviously, like, price and quality is important, but, at the end of the day, like, you're hiring a person, and it's a person who's gonna be a very, like, intimate part of your day. So, make sure that you, like, really enjoy that person's personality and, like, check them out, like, on TikTok, check them out on Instagram, like, follow them, like, see what they're posting. And going back to, like, the generational thing, I feel like Gen Z, you guys are, like, really more focused on seeing that more, like, raw, real, side of people, and, like, not so much the polished side that, like, when people post, like, their finished work to Instagram, like, obviously you want it to be good, but, like, you want someone to show up authentically in stories or in reels or on TikTok.
Yeah, totally. I don't even let somebody book me, number 1, unless they get on the phone with me first,
Mm.
because I think it's really important for me to be able to explain my process and kind of showcase myself, but I also really wanna get to know the client, and but do you ever, like, turn people away, by the way, if you, like, really, really don't vibe on the initial phone call?
Um, I think the universe has a way of, like, attracting and repelling what's not gonna work for us. I don't think I've ever intentionally, like, not followed up, or actually, no, that's not true. Um,
Fine, we don't
listen,
have to talk about it if you don't want to.
well, I mean, we could talk about it. Like, there's definitely, like, red flags for me, right? And I truly do believe that there's, like, a there's how do I don't know, there's, like, an old saying, like, there's a wrench for every screw, or, like, you know
Mhm.
what I'm trying to say? Like, everyone will find their people. Um, and just because I don't know if I'm gonna vibe with a couple, it's, like, not a judgment thing at all. It's just, like, I don't think this is a good fit for me. Like,
Oh,
this is, like, a
totally.
good fit
Yeah.
for someone else, you know?
For sure. I don't even think that's a bad thing to say. Like, I know for a fact that there are people that are just going to be so much better suited than you to you. Even if it's something as simple as like me saying I don't like Taylor Swift, but this person has like Swifty in their bio. I'm like, there are so many other content creators out there who are obsessed with Taylor Swift. Go book them.
For the record, Taylor Swift's new album just came out, like, the other day, for anyone listening to this. I'm not a Swiftie, but
Hmm.
I also haven't listened to the new album yet. All that to say, I didn't realize we were gonna be shitting on Taylor Swift so much
No,
these days.
honestly, she's gotten way too much, like, screen time, like, let's not even mention her name again because we should be talking about me.
Well, maybe if you showed up more on your TikTok, we would be talking more about you.
Wow, Mike. Alright, maybe that was the kick that I needed. Thank
That'll jumpstart you. Yeah.
you.
No, I mean, like, but getting back to like the authenticity thing, and like, yeah, so I'm like, I'm the same way. Like, I want to talk to all my couples. I feel like connection is a really important thing for me. Like, I don't, I really love the days where, I know I've like connected with the couple on like multiple occasions, right? Like, where, if it was
So
like an initial call. Yeah, and, like, I know that, like, I click with the couple on, like, the initial call, and then, like, during the engagement shoot, like, again, like, if we have all those, like, touch points and I feel like, "Oh, these are, like, people that I would hang out with." Like, that's really, like,
yeah,
what I want, you know? Um, and not every vendor, like, feels that way, and that's fine too. Like, that's totally cool. Like, some people have better boundaries than I do. It's like, the vendor client relationship is a lot more like clearly defined, and that's what some people want, and that's totally fine. But for me, it's like way more fulfilling when I feel like I'm providing a service for like someone that I would consider a friend at that point, or like someone that I feel
yeah,
like a real connection to.
I completely agree. Maybe we're just, like, softies and, like, emotional, but I don't know. The day is goes so much better for me when I feel like I actually have a connection to these people, even if it's my first time meeting them, because I know at least you have, like, an engagement session more often than not before the wedding day. For me, it's typically unless I did their, like, bridal shower or something, it's my first time meeting them, but, like, sometimes there are just those wedding days where you walk away from them being like, "Oh my I wanna be your friend." Like, I
Yeah.
really wanna hang out with you.
Yeah.
No, how do I not make this creepy? I'm gonna withhold
So
all your content unless you go get a drink with me.
so can I like have your number? Like, no. Like, I I have a theory, and I feel like your ability to like read the room, or to like be open to connection, like on a wedding day with like whether it be the couple or like, and I think this is something you're really good at too, is like you're able to like pretty much strike up a conversation with anyone. And like I've seen it happen where you're like, maybe like talking to the father of the bride, or like talking to like one of the bridesmaids, and like the ability to like create that instant connection. Like, I think that's really also really, really important to success in the industry. Like, not for like anyone, right? Whether you're photographer, planner, videographer, content creator, anyone. Like, the ability to like read the room and like kind of meet your energy to like what's happening.
Yeah, it's a super intuitive, job and, like, industry, I feel like, because you're literally meeting hundreds of new people every single weekend, and you just have to be able to, like, pivot and kind of mold yourself to fit into whatever is going on and make these people also feel really comfortable because it is one of the most important days of their lives. Um, so, yeah, I think I do have the gift of the gab sometimes.
So, but like, all right. So let's say you have like, two weddings a weekend in a weekend, or three weddings in a weekend. Um, like, how are you feeling come Monday? Like, are you like good to go, or do you need time to recharge? You're like, no, don't talk to me.
Like, literally, dad, literally, do not speak to me, put the shades down, blanket over my head. No amount of coffee will save me. No,
Mm.
weddings really take it out of me. I don't know how people don't feel that way. It's actually strange because at the end of the wedding day, my adrenaline is usually pumping so high that like if my day is done at like 8 o'clock, I'll go out after. I'm still young and fun and fresh, and I can still go out and meet my friends at the bar afterwards. But after the like weekend is done, or if I know that I have like a triple that weekend, I need multiple days to recover after that. Like my bones, I need to order a massage gun on Amazon actually because and like have like a massage membership because for being only 25, almost 26, it is disturbing how much like I ache
Mm,
after a wedding weekend. Probably because
yeah.
the gym ever, but
Well, I said it on the last podcast, like weekly chiropractor appointments are like a must for me at this point. And like regular stretching, like like I have to do stretching. Like I just um no, but I'm the same way actually. Like I will leave a wedding day pretty much like riding a high, and
Mhm.
like people think it's crazy, but especially if I'm leaving a wedding like really late, like especially if it's like 11:30. One of my like big guilty pleasures, I love, I don't know why, I just at the age of 40, this is like one of my little rebellions is like I will, if I know I have a long drive home and it's a late wedding, I'll like ask one of the people on the staff if they can, and if it's not already out, I'll be like, hey, can I like steal a cup of coffee from you? And I'll like drink my little cup of coffee at like 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night. And then I'll get my little like caffeine buzz going and I'll have like the adrenaline from the day. And I'll just be like driving down the parkway, listening to house music, just like, just bumping down the parkway. Um,
Oh, I love that, Mike.
but like, you know, if I have, say it's like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday triple, like come Monday, like usually Monday I'll still be like riding a little bit of that adrenaline. Like I'll be okay for like usually the first part of the day. But then like you said, like Tuesday, I'm like done.
Mhm.
I'm absolutely done. I have nothing in the tank, like need to rest, need to regroup, need to do some self-care. And like it's a little bit different for me nowadays with like the kiddos because they just don't allow that to
I was
happen.
just gonna
So
say, you're like, "I need to rest," and then you have 3 children that walk in the room and wanna play.
yeah, it's a struggle. And honestly, like those are the days where I tend to like be not at my best as a dad.
Oh,
Um,
Mike, you're always the best dad.
I mean, I appreciate that, but it's it's hard on those days because they demand your attention the same amount. You know, they don't know how to read the room the way like they don't care. Like they don't care that you're tired. They don't care what you've been doing the last 3 days. All they know is that you haven't been there. All they know is that like you haven't been around like pretty much all day for the last like 2 or 3 days. So they and that's like a blessing. That is a huge blessing that they're like, Dad, we miss you. We want to spend time with you, And like when I'm at my worst, like I don't always see it that way. So, you know, like that's like a whole other thing that's like really, really difficult to balance in the wedding industry. And, I kind of talked about it on the last episode, but, I like the point of me asking that question was like, I'm just curious about people's, rhythms when it comes to what it looks like when you finish up a wedding day and like, what kind of self-care do you do to like mitigate that,
I have a
like
Coke and
self-care?
I go to sleep. I don't know. I I have some french fries and a Coke and I go to sleep. I don't know. I don't have a better solution. Maybe need to, like, go to yoga or something. Um, no, I wish I was better, honestly, at everything. This is an eye-opening podcast because, like, my time management skills are my biggest downfall. The only thing I'm never late for is work, like, is a wedding day. Everything else in my life, I am late for. I'm surprised I wasn't late today, to be honest. We should give me a round of applause for logging in on time. But
Well, before you give yourself a round of applause, you did ask me to push the start time back by an hour.
But I asked you that a month ago because I knew already. I knew if we started at 10, I would not be awake and alert, okay? If you wanted this to happen, my brain needs to be functioning.
All right,
And I
fair.
had a 100-degree fever yesterday, and I am here looking gorgeous.
You you showed up. No, you showed up when you said you were going to show up, even though you kind of negotiated the start time. But to your
Yeah.
to your credit, you did ask for that ahead of time.
Yes, my self-imposed start time, I was on time for.
But no, I think like people who struggle like myself, I'll speak for myself. Like I also struggle with time management. I mean, I don't necessarily struggle with like the lateness, but that's also kind of due to this like character defect of like it's anxiety more than anything else. Like I just
Mhm.
have this anxiety of like being late anywhere. Um but it's not because I have good time management skills. It's just because I'm a nervous wreck all the time. um But, I think like a lot of creatives struggle with that. A lot of creatives struggle with like the business part of things. Like, the creative part, is kind of like the easy part. The creative part is like that kind of like that what is it? The right brain that's more like it's less analytical, it's more, free thinking, free flowing. Um like that's the easy part. The hard part for me is like yeah, like the processes, right? And the carving out specific times to do certain things. Um, part of it for me, I mean, and again, I don't know. There might be something wrong with me. Not wrong. There might be something diagnosable, but like, um, but I've just always struggled with that. I've always struggled with, um, routine, right? Like routine just seems like so boring to me.
Mhm.
And so anytime there's like any semblance of a routine, I just get very like, ugh, this is so like, I don't want to do this.
Mhm.
Again, I'm right, wrong, or indifferent. That's just the way I've always been. And I've found ways to do things that like work for me. Um, but like, what does that look like for you? Like, even so, given the fact that you struggle with time management, what are some of the things that you do to, help offset that?
So I relate a lot to what you said. And I don't know if this is like fortunately or unfortunately, but I derive a lot of drive to do what I need to do if I'm feeling inspired.
Mm,
So routines don't make me feel inspired. And like, I guess if we're talking about work, especially like cookie cutter kind of weddings or like too much of the same thing does not get me going. It doesn't give me the inspiration that I need. So sometimes aside from like eating french fries and sleeping at the end of a wedding day, I am so happy about how the day went and I'm so inspired and so excited that I just get home. It doesn't matter if my eyes are popping out of my skull and my fingers are barely working. Like I'm laying in bed editing because I'm so excited about what I witnessed that day. And that makes me really happy, and I kind of chase that feeling a lot of the time. And that's why I like to attract people who have like a little bit of a similar kind of style to me, or have a clear vision for like their wedding days or what they want out of their vendors and their day as a whole. Because that just like really fuels my fire. And I know that sometimes work is just work and not everything can be like soul fulfilling and make you feel like on top of the world. So there's definitely a balance there of like sometimes you have to do it and I don't have a choice. And then other times I'm like floating in the air over how happy I am over something that I captured or something I was able to create. Um so yeah, I think it's really just reminding myself that I honestly don't have anything, like, wise to say about that. I think I
well,
just
like,
sometimes you have to force yourself, like, even if you are in a really highly creative industry, creativity doesn't mean fun and games and, like, rainbows and butterflies. It's still your job at the end of the day, and I think I tend to forget that sometimes because for me, it is a lot about feeling super inspired.
yeah. And I think that's why it's important, at least for me, to do sometimes things that are like outside of the wedding space. And
Mm,
like why I try to do some things sometimes that are like totally different, like actually bringing it back to Katie. That's why I love like shooting with Katie because she always brings like something fun and unique and different to the table. Um, and like there was a shoot that we did a couple years ago where it was like the middle of the summer, it was like middle of busy season, and I had scheduled like some mini sessions that day, and I had a few sessions, but like the end of the day was kind of like open. So I just called her or texted her and I was like, hey, I feel like I just want to do something fun. Are you free this day? And she's like, yeah, I'm free. Like, what are you thinking? I was like, I don't know. Like, I just need to do something. And she's like, I have the perfect idea. Um, and so I didn't even know what it was. She showed up and she's like, I'm going to go like in the water, like a mermaid. And I'm going to like let the waves like crash over me. As like I'm laying there like a mermaid. And it turned into like such a fun, like, I don't know. It was like I got in the water, like I had my camera like up here and I'm like up to my, waist in the water with her and she's like swimming through the water and then she has like the waves crashing over her. Like it just turned into like such a fun, like different thing where I was like, "Oh my God, this is like filling my cup." Uh
Mhm.
and like making me um excited, because as like beautiful and as creative as weddings are, like it does start to feel a little monotonous sometimes. And um I'm grateful for the days and the couples that like just make you feel inspired again.
Mhm.
So like what are some of the things that fill your cup? Like what are some of the things that like you see on a wedding day where you're like, "Oh, that's awesome."
Ooh. Um,
I know I'm kind of putting you in the spot here.
no, no, it's okay. I think about this often, too often. Um, I really love when people stray away from tradition and like traditional things. And that's not to say that like culturally traditional things aren't important, but
Mm,
sometimes I feel like there are these rules in the wedding industry that I don't even really know how they came about.
mm,
And if all followed them a little bit less, I think we would all be very, very happy. Like, you can really, it is, when we say it's your day, it really is your day. Like, you can do whatever the hell you want. And I think you don't have to listen to like societal kind of like norms. And I feel like you and I experience this on, like, a very simple level sometimes where the bride is like, "Oh, I don't know, like, should I wear my veil for first look? Like, what do people normally do?" And I'm like, "Babe, it's not about what people normally do. Do you wanna wear your veil for the first look or not? Do you want 'em to see you full ensemble, or do you wanna put it in later so that it doesn't bother your head or because it's windy right now?" Like, there is no, or I think there shouldn't be so many, like, norms and strict parameters for weddings so that people could really, like, feel themselves and let loose and have more creativity. Um, and I think that you can say that about literally any part of a wedding day, and I do. Um, like stuff that happens in the morning, like a lot of the stuff that we do in pajamas and pajama photos is cringy to me, and I wish we would do something different. There's things about like the flow of the wedding day that if it were up to me, I would do in a less traditional sense. And there are people who agree with me, and there are people who like to kind of push the boundaries a little bit, and I really, really enjoy that.
mm,
Um, so I think that truly inspires me on a wedding day, especially like sometimes you just get the call and it's like elegant, timeless, romantic. And I'm like, okay, revolutionary. Then it can be beautiful. It can be very beautiful, but the fact that those, like, 3 key words are used every single day makes my brain wanna explode. I'm like, Can we just do something, like, a little bit different, please?"
mm. Well, I think, the people, like your people find you again, like we kind of talked about
Mhm.
before, right? Like your people find you and um I think that I I remember like one wedding specifically, um and ironic like I remember the wedding. I don't remember the wedding. I remember the feeling. And I don't remember exactly the things that they did differently, but I just remember walking away from this one particular wedding being like, and it was just a couple of like really tiny decisions that they made, where I was like, wow, like they did those things like very intentionally to like make
Mhm.
the day their own. And it
Yes.
was maybe something as simple as like, like one of the newer trends that I don't really have like a lot of strong opinions about like a lot of things, but I do appreciate when couples like make the day their own, and like I think one of the ways that people are doing that now is like kind of nixing the introductions during reception and just like having them introduce themselves, like just having the
Mhm.
couple come in. I think like that's a really simple thing that you can do to just make the day. First of all, it makes the reception flow a lot smoother. It just cuts a lot of time out, and then it keeps the focus on like what's really important, which is like you guys, like the couple, you know?
Mhm.
And not to say that there aren't really fun introductions that happen, like when bridal parties come in and like
Yeah.
have signs and like flashlights and, like that can be really fun too.
Mhm.
But I think like the point of that and like what you said is like it doesn't have to be what everyone else is doing. Like
Mhm.
the day is about you, make the day your own, like own your decisions, right? Like own the way that you want to do things. And I get it. There's like probably a lot of like pressure and influence from like family and parents, and that can be like really hard to navigate. But um I agree. Like I feel like I love it when couples do things really intentionally the way that they want to do it.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? Now that you say that, I realize that maybe the couple doesn't realize that they're doing the same thing that everybody else is doing because we're the ones that go to a wedding, at least one wedding every single weekend. And we see the same thing over and over and over again. But like for the average person, I mean, how many times are you really a wedding guest? How many
Right.
times are you really in a wedding? You probably see like one or two things that are consistent throughout, but like they probably just saw a picture on Pinterest and are like, "Oh my god, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. I want it at my wedding." Whereas for us, it's like the 700th time we've seen that.
Yes.
So I realize I maybe should give people a little bit more grace, but I do think the individuality really stands out to me. Sometimes I know for a fact that when I see something unique, I'm standing there like this, like a loser, like smiling ear to ear, like so happy and excited for these people that I don't know. Um,
But
but I
like
really do
I
feel
think
like when I hear a unique speech or I see something like really, really different happen throughout the day, I can't stop telling the couple about how much I love them
mm,
for making that choice.
so yeah, and I think really what it is like authenticity, right? So even if it is something that's been done before, um, if it's like truly authentically the couple, like I think like that kind of shows through.
Mhm.
Like you can tell when people are doing things because they think it's what they're supposed to do, and you can tell when people are doing things because it's really like genuinely them.
Totally, yeah.
Um, so like different for the sake of being different can also kind of be like a thing too, right? Where it's like you're just being different because you want to be different. Like you're not doing being
Yeah.
different. So
That is,
I
like,
don't know.
so unique and it's a double-edged sword, I totally get it. But I just think there are some wedding norms that, like, I don't know why they were established because they don't make sense to me. For
Mm,
example, I'll give you an example if you want one.
yes, let's hear
Um,
it.
I don't like a sweetheart table. I don't
Okay.
I've seen maybe, I wanna say, like, 5 or 6 times total, predominantly in Philly. They do these, like, long tables with the entire bridal party and then the bride and groom in the middle with, like, nobody sitting in front of them so they don't block, like, still, like, them being in the center of the table, but their whole friends and family on either side. It creates the most beautiful sense of community and everybody's chatting and cheersing and like talking to the bride and groom, but they still kind of have their like bubble right there in the middle with everyone they love on the side. Oh my God, I love it so, so much. I hate the sweetheart table. I just feel like you're like on display, like the winning pumpkin at the county fair. Like, why are you in the middle of the room by yourselves? I don't like it. Maybe some people like that because they like really enjoy being the center of attention or something. But and I don't dislike that either. But I'm just such a beautiful thing to witness when they're all at one table together and you could kind of like laugh and cheers and eat together and chat. I
Yes,
really love.
I agree. I I I do like that. From a photography perspective though, I mean, I love the way I love the optics of that like big long table, especially when, like I've seen it also in Philly, when like the lights are kind of down, there's like a lot of candles and it's like a big long table and, there's maybe like 20, 30 people at the table. It is gorgeous. The thing I don't like about it, and this is like totally a photographer beef,
Tell me.
like only photographers would like be annoyed by this. During speeches, it's oftentimes what'll happen is the people on the other side of the table will kind of like creep in towards the middle, so they'll block that window. And so during speeches, it's really hard to get the couple's like facial expressions.
Gotcha.
Um, so the reason I like a sweetheart table is because during speeches, it's like all there and they're
Yeah.
not blocked. I can like see their faces, but like no one else cares about that but me. Um, um, so we're kind of wrapping up here, but the last thing I wanted to ask you about is like, and you don't have to have, we kind of talked about this earlier, but like, even if you feel like you don't have a great answer for it, it's fine. But like, where do you see yourself? Like, where is this headed for you? Like, what does this look like for you over the next 5 or 10 years? If you have a plan, if you don't have a plan, like what do you think it looks like for you?
Okay. So I definitely I don't have like a mood board or like a projected anything specific. Um I really want to get better and like hone in on what I am doing now. That's like a couple year plan. Like I've kind of been very self-aware about on throughout the course of this pod. I am not great at a few things, and I think if I really refined the amount that I post, what I put out there, and became like a little bit better of a business owner rather than a creative, I think my business would flourish a lot more. I think, like you said, it also is really important to dip your toes in other waters. So there are other industries that I am really fascinated by and that I would love to be a part of. And, aside from weddings, I also love beauty and fashion, and I would really love to do something along those lines. And I do sometimes, take like individual like freelance jobs like doing content for other industries, but it's just it's a little different because I feel like that all is very corporate. So there has to be a kind of a different way to dip into that maybe I just haven't quite figured out yet. And then maybe you're dying to hear this, but there is a chance that I might pivot a little bit into actual photography or videography. And you always say that you need to pick up a camera. That's not really you talk. I don't know why. I just always, but you do always say that to me, and you're not the only one. So I have been really, really heavily considering it lately because I do have a very long standing love for photography. And there are certain things that I just, no matter how hard I try with the iPhone, I can't achieve them, even though I can do a whole lot. But sometimes I just really want to view things through a different lens and see if I can kind of push my capabilities a little bit. And I think that starts with picking up a camera.
Sweet. Love to hear that. Well, like I've told this to you before.
Down in the waves for me when I need to practice.
Oh my God.
Started picturing that and it's really funny in my head.
I'll put on a mermaid costume for you and yeah, you can practice. I'm sure people are dying for that content. No, but that makes me really happy. And again, not to minimize like, you know, iPhone content. Cause like I've seen what you do and I've seen, you show me like little clips that you're capturing on a wedding day and it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. And I've told you this, like you have the eye of a photographer. And I think really the only thing that's different is it's just a different medium. It's just a different tool. So, No, I think that's great. And like, and I told you this before too, like I don't really have a great plan for where I'm going with like photography. I mean, I have some ideas, and this podcast has been a really, really great outlet for me to do something a little bit different and like a little bit of a different space. But I don't know. I also, like you said before, I'm someone who needs to kind of like feel inspired by something in order to um to continue to pursue or to like or to work towards something. And I've also, and ironically, like I've just never been someone who can like set goals and like work towards those goals. I mean, I could like spend a whole podcast talking about that. Um, that's just something I've always struggled with. But no, I'm excited for you. I think that's great. You know, I feel like it's been a minute since we've worked together. I hope it happens soon. And yeah, I do appreciate you taking the time to do this. And you know, I think that the content side of things, I don't know, whether we like it or not, like it's here. Like people are doing it. And I think like especially people in your generation, like they want that experience.
Mhm.
So um, you know, if you're a vendor, like find your people, like find, your people that you enjoy working with, like recommend the people that, you want to recommend. And, um, like Lisa, you definitely have like a good group of like other content creators that have great personality and are creating really beautiful work. So, I'm happy for you, happy for them. And, yeah, like I said, I hope we get to work together again soon.
Yeah, me too. And Mike, I just want to tell you that I am also very, very proud of you for starting this podcast and for sticking with it. I think you've had a lot of really cool guests, and I think you're really good at it, and you should keep doing it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's so sweet. Um, all right, let's wrap this up. Lisa, thank you again so much. I really appreciate you. Um, wish you the best of luck for the rest of this year, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
Thank you for having me, and I'm sorry if I said anything unhinged. I honestly blacked out for half of this. I don't even know what I said. So
Well, if we go viral for the right reasons or the wrong reasons, you know,
then we're
we're,
winning. We're
then we're
winning.
exactly.
All
All right. Take care.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye.